Good evening, Crown of Light Community Baptist Church. This is your pastor, David Anthony Spencer Jr. I'm making this video because I really had a hard time really composing the letter or email that could adequately address what it was that I've been experiencing and feeling. And so I just wanted to share with you that I too am I'm angry, I'm mad, I'm sad, I'm just tired. I'm sick and tired of these senseless deaths. I'm sick and tired of people taking advantage and people abusing their power. And so I want to let you know that if you are experiencing the same thing, it's normal, it's fair, it's right. But I want you to know that the scripture informs us to be slow to angry, and also says be angry and sin not. So even in the midst of our anger, in the midst of our sadness at the brutality of black men or black people or people of color for that matter, the scripture still informs us that we should go to God in prayer. It still says that we should ask for wisdom so that we'll know how to move forward. It was really hard in light of that even within our own congregation, we have someone that's representing the law enforcement community. And so we cannot afford to get angry to the point of protesting in a violent way. It's important that we have non-violent protests. It's important that we find ways to plan, to strategize, and be able to really come up with a way that will be able to speak to the needs of the people, to be able to speak to the injustices and the inequality that plagues our country, that plagues our state, our city. It's important, it's imperative for us to be able to put our heads together and collaborate, communicate with other community-minded organizations, with persons or leaders, to be able to speak to the challenges and the ills of our country. It is not too late, and I realize that at this juncture in our lives, many people are angry. Many people have had enough. They're not ready to talk. They're not ready to love. They're not ready to forgive, and I get it. But we cannot afford to allow ourselves to get to that place to where we'll want to hurt someone or bring destruction to anything or anyone in our community. Time is calling for us to move by the Spirit. It's time to pray. It's time to pray. It's time to act. It's time to end the discussions on what we can do, and it's time to have the discussions on what we can do, what we should do, where we should go. Yes, we all have different ways of nonviolent protest. We all have different ways of speaking to how we can address these concerns. Can they all work together? Yes. There can be many paths to get to a goal, but we must make sure that they're nonviolent and it's pleasing in God's sight. We cannot afford to put ourselves or our families in jeopardy. The scripture tells us that we are a light. We are a light that sits on a hill, Crown of Life. I believe that. The Lord showed me that reality for our church. And to that matter, whoever else may see this video, it's time for us to join together. It's time for us to unify, to, as Killer Mike would say, to plan, prioritize, to organize, to strategize. It's time to do those things. We don't have to advertise it, but we could go about it in a stealth-like way. It's time to move. We can no longer be silent. We can no longer sit back and wait for everybody else to do it. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you've already been participating. Maybe you already are part of the NAACP. But now is the time to complete our census. Now is the time to register to vote if you're not registered. Now is the time to help people register to vote if they're struggling with that, or to help them get to the polls. Now is that time. Now is the time not to be angry to the point of violence or to a point where we're breaking the law, but now is the time. Now is the time to communicate and to collaborate with the authorities. Find out, hold them accountable. What are you doing? What's the plan? What's the plan of action? What kind of trainings are you providing for self-awareness? What trainings are you providing for inclusion and diversity? And maybe for those authorities that don't have a plan or have a place to provide that training on diversity, now's the time to create a diversity program. Now's the time to create a program for awareness. Now's the time to get therapists involved in being a part of the process to help break down these barriers of racism. There are people who are racist and don't even know it. There are people, for those allies, it's time for us to get our allies involved. Now is the time, Crown of Life. Now is the time. Now is the time to continue the progression of love, but doing it a way to where we're in a call of action, a call to do, and not just a call to see and to watch. Again, I love you, Crown of Life. My hope is that you would take up your shields, take up your sword. And that is, I'm talking about the armor of God. It's time to pray. It's time to seek God's face. Because the only way we can make a difference is through the Spirit of God. Only God can help us fight this battle. So we must begin praying and seeking God for direction so we'll know where God needs us to go. Join me. Join me. Join me. 20 days of prayer. 20 days of prayer. We're going to go to God and pray and seek God for direction. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, you can always call me. You can always reach out. This is your pastor, David Anthony Spencer Jr. God bless you, and may the peace of God be with you.